So our
It
presenter today, oh, I'm sorry, we will be recording this meeting. Our presenter today has worked in the field of blindness for about 30 years, beginning with adult rehabilitation. For the past 25 years, she has been a teacher of students with visual impairments and orientation and mobility instructor in the public school setting. She has also worked at a residential school for deaf-blind. Dr. Chamberlain has a BS in elementary education, an MA in educational psychology and O&M, an MA in special education visual impairments, and a doctorate in educational leadership. In addition to holding teacher certification in elementary education and special education for VI birth to 21, she holds the National Orientation and Mobility Certification, which is an NOMC. With all of these credentials, it's no wonder she is known for her ability to incorporate expanded core curriculum skills in a fun and productive way. Dr. Chamberlain has published 2 books, The ABCs of Structured Discovery Cane Travel for Children and Structured Discovery Cane Travel Approach to Orientation and Mobility Concepts, along with several articles on providing structured discovery to children. I know that I regularly borrow from her O&M Gold Bank. She and her husband live in Nebraska and have 2 daughters. They adopted their younger daughter, who is blind from China at the age of 8, and she is now a senior in college. Mary Noel states that she enjoys spending time with her family, especially her grandchildren, in crafting, writing, and playing cards. Thank you for coming and presenting for us, Mary Noel, and I will leave you to it.
Well, hi, everybody. I am so excited to be here today because I want to share some ideas with you. I love it when I can go to a workshop or Zoom meeting and have some ideas that I can put into my toolbox and use with my own students. And so, and that's the reason why I wrote these books, is to share these ideas with you, because as you heard, I'm a grandmother. And actually I'm a great grandmother, so I'm not going to be around forever. So this is my gift to you guys, so you can carry on and have some ideas to use with your students. And these are things that I've collected over the years, and some of them I collected and some of them I created myself. So we have a lot to discuss, so I'm just going to go ahead and dig right in. I hope that's okay with you all. So today I'm going to share with you some of the O&M concepts and activities I've included in the 2 books. This is my collection, as I said, from teaching O&M to children for over 20 years. Most of my PowerPoint, I will be reading everything on there. I don't know if there's anybody here that's visually impaired, so that's why I'm going to be reading most everything that's on here. And also it helps me stay in line. Okay, so there are 2 pictures on this PowerPoint. The first one is on the ABCs of Structured Discovery Cane Travel for Children. It's the cover, and this little boy here, his name is Ruben, and he is riding a scooter. He got himself dressed. He's a student of mine. He's not this young anymore. He's in 3rd grade, but this was after his first year of preschool, and he wanted to ride the scooter like his big brother. So he got dressed on his own, and in this picture, he has a long white cane. It's an Iowa cane with the green handle, and this is how he figured out how to ride the scooter on his own. His mother sent me this picture, and I'm just so glad that I was able to use that for the cover of that book. The other book cover is Structured Discovery, Cane Travel Approach to Orientation and Mobility, and it has a picture of my daughter. Her name is Ashleigh Chamberlain. She is walking down a rock path in Virginia. She was 9 years old in this picture, and she as was mentioned, we adopted her from China when she was 8. So here she is using structured discovery and is very happy walking down these big boulder rocks. So those are the 2 covers. The ABCs of Structured Discovery Cane Travel for Children addresses essential non-visual concept development techniques, and mobility skills needed to travel efficiently, gracefully, and safely within a myriad of natural environments while using the long white cane with the metal tip as the primary mobility tool. This curriculum utilizes transformational knowledge and problem solving opportunities through structured and teachable moments to develop personal reflection and mental mapping, which can be utilized post instruction. So, this book, The ABCs of SDCT for Children, includes O&M skill building activities. I'm going to continue on. So in part one is mostly informational and instructional information for O&M instructors and parents of children with visual impairments. I wanted to write it in such a way that parents could pick it up and understand some of the O&M concepts and be able to help their own child. Chapter 2 involves the school system. So in the school system, O&M instructors establish goals for their students in conjunction with the desires and concerns of the students' parents and educational team. This is documented on the child's individual education plan, IEP, and it's updated annually. Some of you may have looked at the O&M mobility goal bank. The first time I shifted over from working at the Nebraska Commission for the Blind and then later went into the school system, I had no idea about the IEP plan. I just went in, saw a student, oh, this student needs O&M, and so I started working with that student on O&M, and then I was informed about the IEP plan. This was before I went and got that second master's in special education. So the goal bank can help you with creating goals for the IEP. The chapter 2 also talks about the Museum of the American Printing House for the Blind states mobility is considered the core skill necessary for daily living, while Castellano adds that movement is necessary to stimulate curiosity and socialization skills. When students perfect the skills of O&M, they gain the utmost human ability, which is the capability to travel independently when and how they decide. So as I said, this is to help parents too, this part here. The instruction of orientation, aka cardinal directions left and right, along with training in mobility, the use of the long white cane must be combined in order to build the self-confidence to ensure that success and independent travel may occur. Progrand and Griffin Shirley state those who can do one but not the other cannot be independent travelers. So I want to look to that a little bit further. So what they were saying is that for orientation, students who are able to orientate themselves and to their surroundings and have skills to maneuver about efficiently and safely can become independent travelers. And then, so students who are able to orientate themselves to their surroundings but do not have the skills to maneuver about efficiently and safely cannot be independent travelers, as well as students who become easily disoriented despite having the skills to maneuver about efficiently and safely cannot be independent travelers. So our whole goal is for students to be on that top line, to be able to orientate themselves and have the mobility so they can be independent travelers. I'm going to jump over to chapter 7. It focuses on O&M activities for babies and preschoolers. This chapter has levels and skills in a first column, and so that one is in the first one is infants, and then there's some activities for the babies and toddlers. So some of the activities here is to simply treat the cane as the child's toy. Place the cane handle in the child's hand and repeat at least 2 or 3 times daily. This introduction to the cane does not need to be prolonged because infants really don't have a long um, attention span. And then don't be discouraged if the child does not grasp the cane, because at this stage, there's really no right or wrong way. And we just encourage parents to be positive. Put the cane in the hand, put it in the toy box, so that so it's available to them. And as I said, there's no right or wrong way. Put it in. Let them, tap it around. Some suggestions in chapter 7, at school, practice storing the cane on the floor at or very near the workstations. Um, if they're on the carpet, then it would be on the floor next to them. At school, encourage the cane to walk to various target locations within the school, such as the classroom, the main office, the nurse's office, the principal's office, the gym, the lunchroom, library, playground, and the bus. The playground is usually a really good target for them to walk to, and is often one of the first areas that I walk with my students to. There's a picture on here of a PVC pipe. It's an extra wide PVC pipe, and the cane is stored inside that. And the PVC in the desk leg is also inside the PVC pipe. So you want to have the pipe at least 12, 14 inches tall, and that is something that allows the student to have the cane with him or her, and also you can move it to and, different grades as they progress. In chapter 7, there's also a parent to-do list. The first one is to order a free cane for the child. Number 2, make a referral to the school district. Number 3, as the child grows, order a longer cane. I suggest measurement needs to be from toes to nose. Number 4 is obtain a teaching cane, again for the parent, from toes to nose. Number 5 is encourage independent travel. 6, beware of and allow time for teachable moments. And 7, verbalize what is happening. So that's just to help parents get started. Teachable moments. This is how parents of blind and visually impaired children can reinforce lessons in orientation and mobility. So I talk about that in chapter 8. Here's a couple of pictures of teachable moments. The first one is of Ashleah standing next to a stop sign. We happened to be in Orlando, and we were on the tour to go see the penguins that day. And there was a little stop sign that was so low, it was like, oh, yay, let's go touch this stop sign, so that they could see how big a stop sign really is. And so that was a great teachable moment. And the picture on the right is Ashleah at a convenience store / McDonald's. It was all in one, and she wanted an apple pie. So she went up to the counter and ordered her apple pie, and there's a picture of her paying the lady for the apple pie. I didn't go with her. I didn't offer to go buy it for her. We just gave her the money, and since we were sitting nearby, she had to go up and do it herself. In chapter 9, orientation, mobility, transformational skills. Here is something I think that is great for O&M instructors. I've used these with my students. It's a checklist, and this is something that you can photocopy yourself. So it's a chart on the left side. There's different targets. First one is cane awareness for beginners, i.e. toddlers or individuals with additional disabilities. And then in the center is orientation, mobility, transformational skills checklist. So it has a variety of different things with little squares that you can put a check in, so that you can kind of monitor how the child is progressing. The first one is open hands to grip the cane with or without prompts. So you would put a check with with or without. The second one is holds cane for 15, 30 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 minutes, and you can check those off. So what's great about this is you can do this with your students and then go back to this to see how they're progressing, and or use that for writing up their IEP goals. Or if they're in the, I don't know, for different states, we have younger programs for birth to 3. Other sections in here is to walk in step. It talks a little bit. Walk in step provides information about obstacles within the path while walking. And again, these are check marks. So the first one, A, able to alternate cane and foot. In parentheses, when right foot is forward, the cane tip extends from the left side of the body and vice versa when walking with or without reminders. So again, you can use that as a check mark in that form. There's also the 2-point touch and the touch and slide. And then it goes on to landmarks, utilizes and identifies inside landmarks. For example, terrain, acoustic changes, specific offices, classrooms, water fountain, or hand sanitizer stands. If you recall, you can get an idea now of when this was written. Okay, there's also cardinal directions. Within a building, when given north, is able to identify cardinal directions. And then they're listed out: south, east, west, northeast, and so forth. And the same thing for cardinal directions outside. And also naming streets that run northbound and southbound, eastbound, westbound, and so forth. It goes on to mobility apps and rural travel. So it begins very basic, and then it goes on to, as I said, to older children with the rural. Now, section 2 is my treasure trove of O&M activities. So I'm going to share some of those with you. Some of these, if you want to do some screenshots of these, you might want to do that so you can use that with your students. So this activity is called Right, Left, 1, 2. This is an activity that involves practicing many concepts: left and right, odd and even braille, open palm and pencil grips, extended cane technique, 90 and 180 degree turns, and cardinal directions. For this, all you need is one shuffled deck of braille cards, including the jokers. For preparation, you just explain the rules to the student. The student is the king rather than the instructor, because the student needs to be aware that she is in charge of his or her own mobility. Thus, the student has the locus of control. So here are the rules, very basic. Even numbers, you turn left. So the helpful hint is both even and left have 4 letters in it, and so 4 is an even number. Odd numbers go right. Probably caught on by now. The helpful hint is both odd and right have 5 letters, so 5 is an odd number. The jack is you're going to turn 180 degrees. The queen, that's the instructor, is the instructor's choice. Or maybe it's always going to be that you're going to turn 90 degrees. The student is going to turn 90 degrees. And then you can use cardinal directions if possible. So that it's instructor's choice. King is the student's choice. Or it's automatically 90 degrees and using cardinal directions if possible. The joker is up to 2 minutes to explore with the cane and, if desired, establish a different direction to face and travel. So with the game left, right, 1, 2, you have a starting point. Usually it's where you're meeting with the student, and they walk as straight as possible until an obstacle is encountered. Maybe it's a desk, a wall, a door, or even a change in terrain like a carpet or stairs. Then the you uh, the king or the instructor, I mean the queen or the instructor selects a card and follows the student follows the rules on the card, and then you repeat those at 1 and 2 above, or 2 and 3, and keep on going until the time runs out, um, or they return back to the same spot. So you can play around with the rules on how you want to do that. Maybe if they end up in the at the principal's office, but basically it's usually when they run out of time. The tic-tac-toe cardinal direction game, this version is played like the traditional game, except with some cardinal directions. So, of course, just like regular tic-tac-toe, the object of the game is to be the first player to create 3 X's or O's in a row. You do need any tactual tic-tac-toe game, um, but we do have a little bit of different rules here because the students need to say the proper location. So in tic-tac-toe, the the top left square is called northwest, going across the top. It's northwest, north, northeast. Across the middle is west, equator, east, and then across the bottom is southwest, south, southeast. So when we're playing this, I usually have the student facing the north in their classroom. So that way we can transfer this game to knowing which wall is north in their classroom and so forth. And then we can go beyond this board game to other areas in the classroom. So as they're playing this, when they put their piece down, they have to say the right position that they're putting their piece in. And then in order to win, they have to say how they won. Maybe it happens to be the southwest, equator, northeast is how they got their 3 in a row. I really do like the beach ball activity. Basically, you take dried spaghetti and put it inside the beach ball, and you want to have plenty of uncooked spaghetti. And after you put it in there, you break it all up and then blow it up, and the student kicks the ball down the hallway and then uses their cane to find the ball and kick it and continue to kick it down the hallway and back. Um, the hide and seek with silly poopy hide and seek game. It's kids just love poopy. I don't know why, but everybody loves a fun indoor or outdoor game of hide and seek. And silly poopy hide and seek sings and talks, and he makes sounds and he whistles to help students find him. And once the button is pushed, the child actually or instructor has time to move away before the sound cues begin. So I do that in a empty classroom, and they just love it. Even in the gym, sometimes you can have it even, it doesn't have to be hidden. It can be put in plain sight, and they have to go find it. Auditorium, if you can get into the auditorium of the classroom, you could play this in there. Which is really fun too, especially if you have all the lights out for everybody. So that works pretty good. Um, Understanding the address number system. If you have a Mancala board, I really like the ones that fold, because if you get a folding one, you can use it for Braille too. If you sit on opposite sides, and you can take it apart and you have a nice little Braille cell. With the Mancala board, I put a strip of textured paper down the middle of the board, and I indicate that that's the street named Independence Avenue. Um, and then I create small flashcards with Braille on them with the following numbers: 100, 101, all the way up to 109. Or if you want to, you can just start with 0 through 9. And then they place the little cards into the little slots there to indicate street addresses with the odd numbers on one side and even numbers on the other side. Um, Here is the O&M tool hunt. So this game is played like a typical scavenger hunt. Students independently collect the following items, and this is not a complete list, by the way. So they collect items which will need to be returned. The collection of these items may be done over time, and then they can be stored in a paper sack. So for example, they're going to start with a large paper sack that's going to be in the principal's office. So you have to plan this ahead of time and take these items to these locations so that they uh, are ready for when the student goes there. A sticky note is in the main office. The hockey stick or a bat um, is in the gym. Paintbrushes in the art room. A ruler is in one of the other classrooms, or a drumstick or baton in the music room. And then also included are discussions that you can have with your students. You can discuss the history of the spoon, which originally was made out of wood. A spoon means chips of wood and has been documented as far back as ancient Egypt. You can discuss the relationship between a pencil and a computer, discuss other sticks and tools. And if you haven't figured this out, the things that they're collecting are all things that were made from wood. Another thing, as I said, these are just examples, but everything is complete in the book. That one of the other things that you need to get is a book called Not a Stick. And then you can discuss how the cane is not a stick, but a valuable tool. You can discuss the history of the long white cane. You can also maybe read The Giving Tree. So here are some ideas. Also, if you want to, you can read about the history of the cane as uh, a wooden tool. So this is just an example, the beginning of it, so that to give you an idea, blind people have used a stick, i.e., a makeshift cane of sorts, since the beginning of human history. Actually, there was a British gentleman named Lieutenant James Holman, who was alive in 1786 to 1857, who used a walking stick with a metal tip. Lieutenant Holman was a self-taught navigator who placed a metal tip on the end of his wooden stick to prevent it from splitting, and considered this tool as standard strolling equipment for gentlemen of the day. Lieutenant Holman used the metallic sound of the stick as it hit various surfaces for detection of nearby objects such as walls, and described the sound as a quick burst of noise. Today, people who are blind use the metal tip for echo ranging cues and force impact information about the terrain, as well as a method to obtain auditory information. And if you notice, all the citations are included in this information that you can read with your student. Another thing that's in the ABC's book is O&M Encounters, Going to Mickey's House. This is an independent mental mapping, problem solving activity where you decide your destiny. As you read O&M Encounters, Going to Mickey's House, you will discover various travel problems, and you'll be given up to 4 options as listed in the key. means continue walking forward. S and I means stop and investigate. You can check cardinal directions, use senses for cues. R is retrace steps, or O is other options. And then other options is double check directions, verify current location, obtain assistance. You, the reader, make the decision on the best way to resolve each encounter. Your decisions will guide you through the O&M encounters opportunity and direct your destiny. Are you ready to go on an O&M encounter? If so, let's go. So it goes ahead and starts with gives you an example. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, and you decide that or you're given permission from your parents to walk to Mickey's house, and it's 3 blocks away. Although you have been to his house before, this will be your first time walking there by yourself, and you live in a quiet residential neighborhood, and you feel comfortable that you can do this independently. And so it says, from your house, which faces the south, you know that you must, one, walk to the sidewalk in front of your house, and gives you directions on how to get to Mickey's house. And then you have to make a decision. You grab your cane and you exit the door, and at the sidewalk, do you turn right or you turn left? And then you make a decision and you go, it will lead you to the next step. um, parts 3 and 4. Parts 3 is the true story of O&M, and part 4 is flowers blooming, which are 2 stories that you can read with students over time. And I say over time because part 3, there's different chapters. So you can read a chapter a time with your student. Part 4, flowers blooming, that might make 2 or 3 visits with your student, depending on your time. So I'm going to switch over now to the structured discovery cane travel approach to orientation mobility concepts. Structured discovery cane travel is a collection of skill building fundamental techniques essential to develop mobility independence for students who are blind or visually impaired. So if you loved parts 2, 3, and 4 of the ABC of SDCT for children, you will absolutely love structured discovery, cane travel approach to O&M and concepts, because it is just packed with activities. And then this slide here shows some of shows the chapters. I do an introduction and talk a little bit about what structured discovery cane travel is, in case people didn't get the first book. But this chapter 2, really focus on more on different activities and why they're being used. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But so each chapter focuses on a different thing that you can pick and choose for whatever you want to do with your students. Maybe it's auditory awareness, body coordination, book stories and articles, cane perfection, cardinal direction, odd and even numbers, indoor mobility, left and right, miscellaneous activities, neighborhood mobility, olfactory and tactile awareness, O&M, poems and songs, problem solving, spatial awareness, and then the last chapter is visual concerns and how to assist. So chapter 1 is an introduction. The activity here is one of them is all about me, my senses, and this is activity to introduce and review senses. For here, you need cold, uncooked popcorn in a jar, popcorn popper oil if needed, bowls, sleep shades for all students, large cloth, small paper bowls, popcorn seasoning is optional, and the popcorn book. Or you can download the YouTube of the popcorn book, and that link is on your screen. Before the activity, you want to set up the supplies to make popcorn, and you cover the cloth so low vision students are unable to see anything before the activity. For this activity, students wear sleep shades and they listen quietly, and then the instructor verbalizes all the actions. The instructor says, I'm uncovering the supplies for our activity. I'm rattling the container of what we're going to make. And then pass the popcorn container around so that the students can feel and shake it for themselves. Maybe they're going to guess, and a lot of times they do on what's inside, but I like it to start with it cold because that kind of gives a different texture for a feel for them.
Hey,
Then,
Mary Noel, this is Megan. We have a question from Ashley in the chat, and she wants to know, is this book also geared for youth?
Geared for me?
For youth?
Oh, for use. Yeah, you can buy it on Amazon.
Oh, sorry, youth, like young
Oh,
children.
youth. Yes. Yes. The popcorn book? Yes. Um, Continuing on, remind students that the senses can be used to determine the answers. And so basically, you're going to make popcorn, and what do you hear? What do you smell? And then you're going to eat it. And then you can add the seasoning if you want, and then you can read the popcorn book, or you can watch it on that video. So that's just an introduction. In chapter 2, I talk about what is structured discovery cane travel, and in this, I focus a lot about learning through play. The action of playing enhances the brain development and provides student opportunities to engage and interact in the world while building skills, which gives them a sense of their abilities and satisfaction. Play is very powerful and cannot be underestimated. For the more varied play experiences your child has, the more brain connections are made. When opportunities to learn through play are available and experienced, there is increases in physical coordination, mental development, attention, the ability to follow directions, as well as the sense of accomplishment. My students, when I go in, they love to go. They know we're going to go and do something fun, and they think that we're just going to go play. But really, that's what they're doing. They're learning all of these things on here. And I encourage my students to explore and play with the cane. So structured discovery cane travel takes advantage of teachable moments through real life opportunities to demonstrate how the cane is utilized as a tool, such as silverware is used for eating or a broom is used for sweeping. For example, parents can borrow the child's cane to demonstrate how the cane can be used to search for items under the bed or retrieve a toy from behind a hutch. And these types of activities demonstrate the adult's acceptance of the cane, not only for mobility purposes, but also as a helpful tool, a handy tool. And I also talk to parents about wait time. So while working on problem solving skills, echolocation awareness via the mental tip, intrinsic feedback and motivation, transformational knowledge, and mental mapping skills, students are required to make choices in order to move forward toward their destination. Along with making choices comes wait time, which can be more difficult for the instructor, and I can't enhance that anymore. It is often more difficult for the instructor than it is for the student. Wait time is the pause between asking or requesting an action and the response, such as the student answering the question or completing the requested action. Sometimes this pause can take a few minutes, few seconds, several section, seconds, or maybe in a full minute or longer. The sufficient amount of wait time varies between individuals, but they need this time to absorb the question, formulate an answer, then verbalize or act upon the question or the task. Repeating the question to the student may only cause the student to return to absorbing the question. So you have to give them plenty of time to absorb the question and be quiet. Let them figure it out. Let them do their problem solving, which is the next slide here. Is problem solving is the ability to problem solve is vitally important in O&M. Although opportunities to problem solve may be presented by instructors as teachable moments paired with plenty of wait time, sometimes instructors may model problem solving techniques to the student. So when modeling, instructors are guiding their students through the problem solving strategies and therefore need to be verbalized. So when I'm modeling the student, I'm going to say what I'm doing, what I'm thinking. And through this method, students begin to feel comfortable performing their own problem solving techniques, whereby later they may problem solve when the instructor is not there. As students grow in mind and body, they become eager to experiment and interact with all new phenomenon, encountering, confronting them within their expanding environment. Chapter 3 is about sensory awareness, and sensory awareness is the first step in developing O&M for students, for infants. So here's a tap, tap, tap activity. This is for very young students. So you use your index and your middle finger and you gently tap 3 times on the child's cheek using the following poem as a guide. Tap, 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 tap on Johnny's cheek, tap, tap, tap on Johnny's cheek. Then you repeat the poem and you tap on their knee or their foot, their toe, the hand, wherever you want. Then you reverse the game and the child now taps on somebody else's knee or toe or hand. And then you repeat the poem and you tap on the floor. And then you do the same thing with the long white cane. Repeat the poem using the child-sized cane and tap on the floor. Tap, tap, tap on the kitchen floor. Tap, tap, tap on the bathroom floor, and so forth. Then you get to walk around the house. You can use a kitchen timer for hide and seek. So the kitchen timer that ticks is what you would need. Sleep shades, cane, area for the activity with borders. And what I mean, like with borders, is like if you want to stay in the living room or the kitchen area. You select the hiding place within the play area boundaries. You wind up the kitchen timer, and then to a 5 minutes or 2 minutes, and then the student finds that kitchen timer because it's ticking all the time. Echoes home. This is for an older student. Here the student may be better than the instructor. Students will discover where Echo's home is located. So before the activity, the instructor needs to go and find a long sidewalk that does not include steps that leads up to a building. Doorways with overhead shelters make a better echo than doors without. You can check public buildings such as the libraries or school, and you're practicing walking toward the building with the cane with the metal tip to listen to the echoes, which becomes more audible the closer one gets to the building. So you need chalk, sleep shades, long white cane with a metal tip, and rocks are optional. Um, I like the real bright neon colored chalks. That helps a lot for our low vision students. So the activity is while wearing sleep shades, the student walks toward the building and listens to the change in the sound the metal cane tip makes while approaching the building. The student announces the auditory change and places a chalk line on the sidewalk, and then you repeat that several times. And then you can review the chalk marks to evaluate where the auditory change takes place. You can, if your student is totally blind, you might want to put some rocks down in that spot where the chalk marks are. And this is Echo's home. There's also book stories and articles in chapter 5. This is the tale. This is a story I wrote for my students. It's called The Tale of the Three Blind Mice After They Lost Their Tails. And the beginning of it goes like this. Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, even before I was a child, there were 3 blind mice. Perhaps you have heard their tale. The story is how the 3 blind mice were not using their long white canes and got disoriented. They encountered the farmer's wife, who claimed that the 3 blind mice lost their tails through an accident. Since that incident is still in courts, I'm here to tell you the tale about their tails. Well, back then, there was no place for the 3 blind mice to go to get brand new tails. So the first blind mouse decided to visit the village blacksmith, who made him a new tail out of wrought iron. The blacksmith used his hammer to create a fancy curly tail, but it was too heavy. Whenever the first blind mice went for a walk, he had to carry, it's kind of blocked there, his tail behind him, but the curl kept getting stuck around twigs and tall grass. The first blind mouse tried to carry his new wrought iron tail, but since it was so heavy, it would drop on the ground with a thunk every few steps. If anyone in the village wanted him, they knew exactly where he was by simply listening to the thunk, 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 thunk. The first blind mouse went back to the blacksmith, who made him a lighter tail out of magnet. The second tail was great for cardinal directions because it was always pointing north. But the first blind mouse had difficulties walking anywhere because the tail was so strong that his backside would always face north. If he wanted to walk north, he had to walk backwards. If he wanted to walk east or west, he had to walk sideways. Eventually, it became too much for the first blind mouse, so he gave both his tails back to the blacksmith, who forged them into carving knives. Anyways, so that's the beginning of that story. Another story is The Country Friend and the City Friend, and this is a parody of The Country Mouse and the City Mouse that I wrote. Once upon a time, there were two blind friends who lived far apart from one another, so they enjoyed talking to each other through the internet. One friend lived in the country and the other friend lived in the city. Well, one day the country friend went to visit the city friend. Right away, the country friend heard so much noise that it was too difficult to have a conversation with his friend. The country friend heard the sounds of the traffic, honk, honk, beep, beep, zoom, 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 the sound of the jackhammers and so forth. So you get the idea. Okay. The next one is If You Take a Cane to School. This is a parody of If You Take a Mouse to School. It's another story I wrote. It goes something like this. If you take a cane to school, it will want to be held in your hand. When it is held in your hand, it will want to be moved back and forth as wide as your shoulders. Then it will want to be tapped on the ground at each extreme, right and left. You will be amazed at how light it is and the wonderful sound it makes with its metal tip. When you get to school, the cane will want to be introduced to all your teachers and friends. When it is introduced to your teachers and friends, chances are they will hold the cane and tap it back and forth as wide as their shoulders, too. They will be amazed at how light it is and the wonderful sound it makes with its metal tip, too. And it goes on. Another story that you can download is the story of The Paper Boy by Dan Riles. And Dan was the son of Dr. Ruby Riles. And this is a story of a boy who was a paper boy in Alaska, and he talks about how he memorized his routes and navigated in the snow. You, as I said, you can retrieve it, and then all of the stories that are in here, after reading the story or article, there are quizzes available in this book. And there's a link here that you can look it up, or you can just look up The Story of a Paper Boy by Dan Riles. So, as I said, there's quizzes here too, because when your students are in high school, one of the classes that they can take is your orientation mobility class, and then you will need to give a grade. And so this is a way to grade your students by these quizzes. And even though the books aren't here, there are quizzes available here for Blooming Besties, Grandpa's White Cane, Guide Dogs, I Can See Without My Eyes, Mandy Sue Day, so forth. Here's a teachable moment with Ashleah. We were walking one day and they were letting the water out of the fire hydrant, so I let her check it out and get all wet. Cane Perfection, the activity is to go see Santa or go to amusement park, go to the zoo, um, wherever there's lines, and let them be in front and work on standing in lines. And instead of the instructor telling the student when to move forward, the instructor either waits until the child moves forward or may ask the child, "Is it time to move forward?" Cardinal directions. 64-ounce games has a braille cardinal direction dice now that I asked him to make, so you can check with them to get a 3D printed cardinal direction dice in braille. Another thing is this one spin meal plate. Spin Mill is one word. It is available on Amazon. It has a spinner in the middle, and then it has all of the little compartments that you can put little cards in there. I used Velcro on here with the letters north, south, east, west, and then you can do northeast, southeast. You know, you can put all of those cardinal directions on that and have it at different levels for your students. This one here was as a picture with just the north, south, east, west, and then arrows pointing to other letters so that they, if they needed to. So this is a cardinal direction blackout game. So you can use, you want to use a tic-tac-toe cardinal direct or a tactile tic-tac-toe board. And basically they can use the spinner and take other people's places away and put their marker in those spots. Or you can make some flashcards. I would recommend at least 4 of each, the north, south, east, west, northeast, and don't forget about the equator. And then you go ahead and play with the same rules as the cardinal direction tic-tac-toe game, but you're going to do a blackout. The indoor treasure hunt, you're going to have a small toy or household object, and before the activity, the instructor hides the toy inside the house perimeters and selects a starting location. The activity is that the student begins to start at the starting location, and the instructor gives the student directions verbally or in braille as to where the lost item is hidden by using the following example, you know, like 2 steps to the north, 3 steps to the west, and so forth. I also have worksheets with the answer keys of the cardinal directions. This worksheet just focuses on left, right, northwest, northeast, southwest, and southeast. There's another cardinal direction one that involves parallel and perpendicular, and another one of cardinal directions using sun cues. There's an even and odd numbers chapter. So this one is to separate items. So basically you're going to have at least 20 similar items to use as counters. And you can use M&Ms or small toys, dolls, cars, stuffed animals, and so forth, pennies. And before the activity, you're going to place an even number of items in a pile. And basically the student is going to put one item in a container. You have 2 containers, and they're going to separate the items within those in the piles within those 2 containers. And when they are all even, then you talk about how that's an even number. And then you change it and you want to put a pile of items down that is definitely an odd number. And then you are putting these items into the 2 compartments. And then if you have one left over, then you have an odd number, and that means they're not even. So that's just a real simple way of working on even and odds. Then they can spread the knowledge. So you need to have an address book with telephone numbers of friends and family. They call their friends and family, and the student says, guess what? I can tell you about your address. And of course, the family person says, what? And then the student says, I can tell you if your address is an even number or odd number. What is your house or building number? And then they are told, and then the student can say whether it's an even or odd numbers. Indoor mobility is we're going to the kitchen, and you sing to the tune of She'll Be Coming Around the Mountains. So you can work on, and now this is for like a really small child, maybe you're carrying them, and you're saying, I'm going to the kitchen right away. We're going to the kitchen right away, and so forth, and you go to other different rooms.
Mary Noel, this is
Yes, ma'am.
Megan. Priscilla was wondering, what is the name of the book that you're currently speaking of on Amazon?
Okay, it's called Structured Discovery Cane Travel Approach to Orientation and Mobility Concepts. If you type in my name, Mary Noel Chamberlain, both of these books will come up. But this one is the second one. It has a picture of a little girl on the front. So this scavenger hunt, you need a dice. The child rolls a dice, then must find something in the house or the classroom that represents that number. So maybe they roll a 4, they have to go find something that has 4 in it. Maybe it's the legs of a chair has 4. A chair has 4 legs. Look for lost treasures. Basically, you're going to take the long white cane and locate lost treasures under the couch or the bed. And you might need to set that up ahead of time or ask parents to set that up ahead of time so that they can do that themselves and lay down their cane on the floor and they move it from side to side to scoop out any of the items underneath there. So sometimes you have to let the parents know. Left and right, this is a household task. So, and encouraging parents to use the terms left and right to like putting the groceries away. They're more successful with retrieving them when they're helping to put them away. And you can say the peas go on the left of the corn, the milk goes on the top shelf on the right side, etc. I truly love the left, center, right game. Um, and if you don't have that in your toolbox, you need to get it. Make sure when you get it that the dice actually has an L, a C, and R's on them because those are very tactile. And what's nice about this is you can encourage a classmate to play this game because you do need 3 people with this. And the instructions are very clear, so it's ready for you right out of the box. So you roll the dice. If it has a L, you start with 3 tokens. If the dice has an L on it, you give a token to the person on your left. If it has a R, it goes on your right, and has a C, it goes in the center. The directions are inside there, and because of time, I'm going to keep on going. The beach ball, remember the ball I mentioned with the dry spaghetti? You can go out and you can hit it against the garage door and have it tossed back at you. Or if there's a wall at school outside, you can hit it against the wall at school. They have to use their cane to find it. If they hear it going to the right or left, you can talk about it going on the left or right. And you can also use the term veer. You know, it veered to the right, it veered to the left. There's a book that's called When Things Aren't Going Right, Go Left. When things aren't going right, go left. So this is a book you can find on Amazon. So you're going to read this story and then you can discuss what did he leave behind and what got smaller with practice. And that's worries and doubts and fears. And that's what O&M is. With the more practice that you have of doing that, then you actually realize that your woes are not as big as you thought they are, and they're going to be a lot easier over time. So again, these books have the activities that you can do with them. Other activities after reading this, you could reread the story, and the students can read their right or raise their right hand or their left hand or foot whenever they hear the words left and right while listening to the story. Or if you want them to have toys, they can, lift up their toy as another option. And there's a score sheet if desired that you want to keep a record on that. Miscellaneous activities, popsicle sticks I really like because they make excellent supplies. You can build a house with those, and discuss all the aspects of the house with young children. You can talk about why the roof is angled, how the chimney extends above the roof. You can use the popsicle sticks to demonstrate parallel and perpendicular as seen in corners. And I'm almost done, by the way. My clock is going off, so I know. You can use the popsicle sticks to outline roads on a rug and drive a toy car or vehicle through. at school, sometimes there's just no way to um, help students, stand in line in a tactile way. So there's a picture here of a carpet runner. So when in this preschool classroom, we just put a carpet runner down, and then the student was able to find the line, and by using the cane to find the edge of the carpet runner. For tile floors, I've used duct tape or electrical tape on top of string. This is something that is done in goal ball um, to help a student find their way through the lunch line. And then also in carpeted areas, you can take you take that long Velcro strips with the adhesive backgrounds, uh, adhesive back, and you want them long enough for a student to find the spot from point A to point B, and you stick the Velcro back to back, and then you can hook that onto the carpet and reuse that in different areas to outline areas, or if you want to help them find a certain spot. Um, for neighborhood mobility, uh, the quarter journeys, or where do we go from here, is basically walking and then tossing a quarter. If it's heads, you go left. If it's tails, you go right. And then you see where you end up, and then use some problem solving to find your way back. Then there's some ideas about the olfactory glands. Walk around Walmart um, and smell the different areas and determine where you're at. Is an activity there. Poems and songs. Uh, my preschoolers, I think they get tired of hearing me sing, this is how I hold my cane, hold my cane, hold my cane. This is how I hold my cane all day long. Yes, I can. Tappity tap 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 tap. Anyway, then they start singing it. So there's some ideas here for singing songs with your students. Little Johnny has a cane, E-I-E-I-O, and with his cane he goes tap tap, E-I-E-I-O, and so we sing that. There's problem solving activities. Sometimes I just say, oopsie, the hallway's closed, and they have to find a different way to get to wherever we're going to. Maybe it's the office, or maybe it's the gym. Um, and then spatial awareness is a little silly clown thing that goes, um, it's a little poem, and you can do a screenshot on this one. The poem goes, a silly little clown, and you hold your finger up and you wiggle your index finger back and forth. And I go up and down, so then you bend your index finger. I can move my finger up, and then you straighten it up. I can move it down. I'm a little silly little clown. I'm a little silly clown. So we talk about up and down with stairs. Um, you can use your cane to measure things. I've done that with students. Just to do that. Let's see. And then the last chapter is about vision concerns and how to assist. So I usually get asked about so many things like eye pressing, depth perception difficulties for toddlers and young students, helping young children to wear their glasses, classroom accommodations for students with amblyopia, or they're undergoing the occlusion or dilation treatment. So these are some handouts that I've created to share with parents, and that's also included in the Structured Discovery Cane Travel Approach to Orientation and Mobility Concepts. What's going to be sent to you is a newsletter that I do. I do a newsletter quarterly for my parents, because honestly, by sharing information with my parents, it helps my job so much, because it helps us all be on the same page. Last year, one of the newsletters I did was about the benefits of orientation and mobility, and it just talks about how important that is. And it has some ideas on folding money and so forth on this article. I'm not going to read this to you because you're going to get it. This last year was the first time that I did the Nebraska Cane Walk. There's a that you're going to get a special edition of the Nebraska Cane Walk newsletter, and there's two pictures here. There's a picture of a little boy on the left. He is a second year preschooler, so he just turned 5. He'll be going to kindergarten here pretty soon. I've had him since he was 3. And then there's a picture on the right with me and 5 of my students that participated in the Nebraska Cane Walk. There are discounts for purchasing the books. If you use the order forms that will be mailed to you, there's codes that you can use with the order forms. You don't get the discount when you order it through Amazon. A lot of times, though, if you work for a school district and you tell them that you would like to get this book, then your school district can purchase these books for you, and then they can use the code if you get that before the end of August. And that's the last slide. And we're open for questions.
Mary Noel, there was a question.
Oh, go ahead,
There
Desmond.
was a question about the formats. Is it available in audio or Braille format?
Yes. In audio, not Braille. I wish it was. I really do. That might be something that we'll have to work on.
Awesome. Before we go into the Q&A, oh, Morgan, we will give the closing code at the end of the Q&A. We're going to launch a brief 3 question poll, and then we will go into the Q&A. We'll take about 1 minute to do that. And you can also put your answers in the chat too if you want. The first question is, are you an OMSA member? Yes or no? Choose your role in the O&M field. We have GDMI, NOMC, COMS, or other. And then who do you work with? Adults, children, or both? Okay, we can go ahead and start the Q&A and discussion portion. Lacey, the opening and closing code is for ACVREP credits for CEUs. And the opening code again is Apple.
This is Desmond. I had a question. So, can you speak more about the teaching cane? I think that's a really neat concept.
Sure. I don't know if you've ever been to the NFB cane walk, but one of the things that is highly recommended there is for parents to have a cane along with their child, because if they have a cane, then a lot of times they're learning the same things as their students or their child is learning. And a lot of kids want to be like their parents. I'm legally blind. I don't know if you all know that, but so I have my cane with me all the time. And when I'm working with my students and stuff, and sometimes I tap them, they're in front of me and I might tap them with my cane. I've had students say, "Oh my gosh, I've never had anybody tap me with their cane before because I've never had a blind instructor before." But sometimes with the teaching cane, you can be tapping at a different area and you say, "Oh, look, do you hear the sound over here?" And you tap it in there and then they come over and they can tap it there too. So you're doing the same thing and hearing the same things with the teaching cane as you are with that the student is doing. Gosh, everybody's quiet. I guess they want to watch the debate.
This is
Hi.
Maurice Prey. I have a question.
Oh,
Hi,
okay.
Maurice.
Aloha. How are you?
I'm fine.
I don't really have a question, but I'm sure at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm sure I will. But I just wanted to comment on how brilliant I think you make O&M so relevant for kids, incorporating it into really life skills, daily living skills. And so it's not, we're just doing an O&M lesson, ho hum. You really incorporate it into really fun activities. Curiosity is inspired, practical skills like walking to the bus stop, but also, finding stuff in the refrigerator, things that I think particularly young people, children, but probably all ages not exposed to these skills really get a lot of it. Oh, that's what this is for. So thank you for all that you're doing and making it's O&M very accessible and also very relevant to developing those life skills. Brilliant.
Thank you, Maurice. I'll pay you later for saying that.
Kristen, I want to similarly compliment you there. I got so many. I've been teaching for 20 years, and mostly children, but I got so many ideas just listening to your presentation on rainy day activities and ways to incorporate things. I I work in a lot of different school districts, so some schools are a little more. They let me out and about a little more than
Mhm.
others, so I can actually do some community travel and things. But there are certain schools where I can't take the children off campus, and we're in these little rural schools where there's nothing really walkable nearby. And there's so many ways that I was kept going, yeah, I can do that. All you need is a gym, all you need is a board game. So
Mhm.
thank you for that. I have the book, but I will start using it more.
Well, thank you, Kristen. I'm like you. I serve 11 school districts, and some of them, it's all on the outskirts of Omaha. So I'm in these little towns all the time, and we don't always have buses to go to. So, but it's things that we can do during our O&M time, um, which which they're still learning some of these concepts. And during COVID, when we had to do things, via FaceTime, I was so happy that I had a lot of these activities that I could send them the cardinal direction worksheet and have them fill that out and send me their answers and so forth, because we still have to grade them and we have to give them a grade. So thank you,
Mary
Kristen.
Noel, this is Priscilla from California, and I work with older adults, and I love what you shared because I want to be, even though I don't work with children, but I can definitely use some of these games for older adults, people with memory loss. I mean, I think it's really, really cool what you're doing. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Priscilla. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, especially that left, center, right game. If you have
Yeah.
some older adults, that has just been so much fun to do with my students. And I do recommend having a box to roll the dice in. They have dice rollers on Amazon
Hmm.
that you can get too, but they're just really hard to read those dice because the little cup that they roll into is not at a really good angle. So keep like one of those lids for the paper for the copy machine, one of those copy machine lids, so they can roll their dice in that.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Mary Noel, this is Megan. I just want to go through a couple comments in the chat. Couple shout outs to Maurice. And then Liz says that this is refreshing and good for my toolbox before the next school year. And then Sue shared that she has 2 young students an hour and a half away from each other, and they're both learning Braille, and they have been sending notes to each other in the mail. So O&M to the letterbox for theirs, and their TSVIs love it.
Oh,
And
good, good.
so very fun.
Hey, Mary Noel, this is Jedi.
Hi, Jedi.
I just wanted to give you a shout out and also to say, you know, a lot of these things can be applied for adults, especially those that might have some learning challenges, or maybe also their concept development was a little struggling, particularly if they came, you know, out of a system that didn't provide adequate instruction. So I'm really looking forward to that. And when you say that the books are available in audio, where can we find those? Thank you.
I think that I've seen those on Amazon where you can pick the audio. But if you have trouble with that, Jedi, just please send me an email. And so if anybody has any questions, I'm always available via email. So
This is Kristen. I just wanted to jump in again and say, on Information Age Publishing, they do have the ebook. So if that's, that might be more accessible.
And then we have a comment from Mary Beth in the chat saying, the games are so important. I've had high school students who were stuck during the lesson. I then reminded them of a past game, and it's like a light bulb goes off and they get it. I love the ideas you presented.
thank you.
And Mary Noel, this is Megan. And I think one thing that I really liked hearing about that, you know, some of these pieces from your book is I think a lot of these games that you shared can like any student could play them. And so I think that that's really important that these are games that can be played with peers, like especially to like left, right, center. And it can really have like some nice social components to it as well, with like other peers who are not blind or visually impaired.
Yeah, and the poopy find the poopy game that's available in the store. So I think a lot of kids really like that too. You know, especially if they have indoor recess.
Hey, this is
Mary
Jedi
Noel,
again.
Desmond here. Oh, please go ahead, Jedi.
I was about to say we can play Rochambeau. So I'm wondering, I just wanted to say that for those adults who maybe find the silly poopy game a little odd or uncomfortable, because you know that's a thing, or kids even, they have audible Easter eggs and other similar gadgets that you can get. You could even potentially play this game with an air tag for teenagers to make it cooler. So those are just some other ideas.
I find it's harder and harder to find those Easter eggs. And when you do find them, you want to stock up on them, because I think that I stocked up on mine about 4 years ago, and I just gave away my last 3 this past year. So I'm gonna have to do a big hunt on those.
Hi, this is Kim. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
I can.
I was noticing that you use sleep shades for kids when they're young and probably as they're older when you're teaching. I was kind of wondering how you introduce that idea, not just to the kids, but to the parents, because it can be such a sensitive topic. The thought that the vision can be changing and helping them learn non-visually is sometimes hard to bring up.
You know, Kim, I'm glad you brought that up because I have had a couple people ask me to write an article about how I introduced the sleep shades to my students. So this year we did the Nebraska Cane Walk. It was the first one in the state that models slightly um, like the NFB cane walks. It models that slightly, but it also was an activity where they walked to different stations, and when they got to the different stations, and the station could be like the door to the stairs, and then they had to, and the next station might be down 3 floors from that. To the next station, and each time they went to a station, they got a tactile sticker um, for their passport, and that's all described in the newsletter that you're going to get. But I had 2 of the students that wanted to go to the Nebraska Cane Walk that had not worn sleep shades before. And so I talked to the parents about the importance of wearing the sleep shades in such a way that it helps them focus on um, their auditory awareness and not on their unreliable vision. And so I do it very gently with the students, especially like you saw the picture of the little 5-year-old. Um, so I don't start with, okay, here's your sleep shades. We're going to go for a walk. So first I start with, we're just going to sit and with the sleep shades on, and I read them a story. A lot of times it's a story that maybe they really enjoyed from the library, and it doesn't have anything to do with blindness. So it's just a story that they're aware of, and then that's it for that visit. The next visit is the sleep shades, and we're still sitting there, and we're going to play that left center right game, or we're going to play another tactual game, and we're not moving. We are sitting at the student's desk or at the workstation that we often will use. Maybe it's a table in the library, something that they're very comfortable with. And then if they drop the dice off of the table, if they roll the dice, then then they have to go and find it. I don't go and find their dice for them. So they might take a step or 2 away from their chair and locate the dice and get back to the chair, and we continue on. And then we're going to, a next visit, we're going to do a little bit of walking around their classroom with the sleep shades on. Now, this is a very familiar area with them. Um, so very, very familiar. And then from there, we're going to say, hey, you know what? I wonder, do you think maybe, I'm just not sure. I'm just going to ask you, do you think maybe you can find the office from here wearing your sleep shades? Do you think so? And then, they're going to say, yeah, I think I can do it. Now, then we'll walk to the office. Now, if they peek, I don't make a big deal out of it, because if they're peeking, that's okay. I know when they're peeking. In one of the pictures you'll see of a little girl walking down the sidewalk, and her head is facing the sky practically, and I know she's peeking. But that's okay, because eventually they're not going to peek, and that's okay. So, I will say from time to time, hey, is your sleep shades down? Let me check your sleep shades. And so um, it's just something that we just build upon, and then we go further and further, and pretty soon it's just an everyday, hey, let's grab your sleep shades. We're going to go and do XYZ today. And that's how I do it. The parents, they understand, because I just say, if they learn the skills without vision, then no matter what the lighting condition is down the road, if they're walking in the shade, or if they're walking, you know, in a darkened area, or whatever the reasoning is, they are going to have that confidence. So it's a way to build that self-confidence in their abilities. And the parents, you know, they've never had anybody say, there's no way I want my child to wear sleep shades. And I've used sleep shades as young as the 4-year-old. I have students that have cognitive delays that is 19 now, and I've had sleep shades with him since he was little. And I mean, I've had him since he was in kindergarten. But if you teach Braille, then that's a good way to also introduce the sleep shades with the Braille. And if they're doing sleep shades with the Braille, then it's a really easy transition to go from sleep shades with Braille to sleep shades for O&M.
Nice. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This is Maurice. Can I add to that?
Please do, Maurice.
Oh, Dr. Chamberlain, thank you so much. Honestly, sharing, I think the key to eliminating the fear and mystery of the sleep shades is that first success, and you described it so well. My first lesson with any adult student is you're in my office, you're sitting in a chair, you have your sleep shades on, look around the room, tell me what you see. Well, I can't see anything. I'm wearing these sleep shades. Okay, well, what's in the room? What do you know is in the room? By the time they tell me about the desk, the chair they're sitting in, the door they walked in, the filing cabinet, they surmise is probably in my office. I was like, you know what? You just described what was in this room as good as anybody with vision could have. So by putting on the sleep shades, you don't have to give up seeing. You just have to give up relying on insufficient vision. But I think you described it so much better than I did. But it's that early success, and the family can be there present to watch what you've described. And I think it takes the mystery out of it. It's all in how you present it. Thank you.
That's right, Maurice. And back to that little boy Mitchell with the cane there at the last picture that I showed. Anyways, he told me after the Nebraska cane walk, Mary Noel, I'm not going to wear these sleep shades anymore. So it'll be interesting. I mean, that was toward the end of this last school year, but and we did other activities that didn't require sleep shades because it was the end of May when we had the cane walk. So when school starts up again, guess what? We're going to be doing activities with sleep shades. We got to get ready for the next cane walk.
Thank
Did
you.
Desmond
Oh,
did
go ahead.
Desmond ever get his question answered?
Okay. I just wanted to make a comment. So I'm actually working one of the Bell camps this week at Bell Academy. And I have to say that both of your books have been a gem to planning activities. I'm a huge Cardinal Direction fan. And so the Simon Says games and some other activities in there have just been great. So thank you so much for these resources.
Thank you, Desmond. If anybody's out and about and you're going through a thrift store or something and you happen to find the hopscotch, um, uh, rings that you use for that's one of the rings that I really like that hook together and make paths, and I've not been finding those around too much lately, but if you happen to find those rings, then you can use those in your classroom too, so keep an eye out for those at thrift stores.
Thank you. Are there any final questions or comments before we wrap up? Okay, so just a few end of house or wrap up things. The closing code is sauce. And then what will happen is likely very early next week.
Repeat that, Megan. I didn't understand. Star,
Sauce?
STAR.
No, sauce, like soy sauce.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
And then the opening code is apple. So
Yeah,
apple
thank
sauce. You're welcome. And so everyone who attended this live session will receive a summary email early next week, perhaps even this weekend. It will include the resources that Dr. Chamberlain mentioned, and it will also include a link to the evaluation form that you will need to complete to receive your CE certificate that you can load into your recertification tracker. That needs to be completed within 30 days, and that due date will be listed in the email. Once that 30-day window closes, we will post the recording of this. So if you have anyone that you think would enjoy this presentation, this will be up in about a month. And then we will send that out to everyone who registered, because some people will register, but they're not able to attend, but want to watch the recording. Then the other thing is that in September, on September 19th, our next CE event is O&M referral policies and professional practices, and that is with Dr. Justin Kaiser and Dr. Tina Hersberg. So that should be a really good presentation as well. And registration information for that will be out in the next couple of weeks. So, and we already have information up on our website. So if you want to register early, you can do that, or else it will be out through our OMSA emails. So are there any questions regarding any of that? Great. And then I did receive a message from a student. And so if you're a student who is watching this as part of a class and you need your email for a completion certificate, just send me a direct message and I will make sure that you get that. And thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you, everybody.
September, and now I have to double check my date. September 19th, and that's a Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Dr. Chamberlain, someone has requested that you put your contact information in the chat. Can we share that in the summary email actually? Or is that on some of the materials maybe?
It's on the materials in front of us right now.
Yeah, someone had asked for it in the chat.
In the chat?
Oh, as a contact.
Okay. I'm gonna move out of this PowerPoint then.